Hi, I'm Nicoleta from Romania, and I'm here to tell you something you probably aren't aware of. Each one of you has the power to change people, even the jerk ones. But before I continue, please like and subscribe. People in my little town thought that I was the cutest girl with red hair, and they completely doted on me. Everyone would notice me wherever I went and would start talking and laughing with me. Yes, I enjoyed it, but honestly, sometimes it got overwhelming. One day when I was 3, I was at my neighbour's place and her son put a paper crown on my head and offered me a horseback ride.
All hail Nicoleta, the Queen of Romania.
Just then, his jealous little demon sister came running out of nowhere and pushed me off his back.
No, she's ugly.
Then she squirted glue in my hair. I pushed her and was about to attack her when my mum took me away. All evening, my parents cried and I tried to comfort them.
It's okay, Mom, Dad. It will grow back prettier than before, I promise.
Eventually, they just had to cut my hair. And it did grow back all lovely and thick in a few months. When I was 4, Mum started taking me to a small farm 2 hours away from our house, just to have my hair washed with goat's milk. That was insane. But being around sheep and goats was fun. I refused to let them wash my hair unless I milked the goat myself. It took me 4 hours though, but I did what I enjoyed. Dad's favourite thing was to spend every evening brushing out my shiny curls as we sat around the fireplace. But I only agreed if he read me stories. One day, Dad sent my picture for a modelling job and I got accepted. I told my parents that I was only 5 and I had a childhood I wanted to enjoy. They promised the job wouldn't affect anything and it would make them proud and happy. So I agreed, and just like that, I started modelling for the following years. By the time I was in 9th grade, I was a pretty popular hair model for all sorts of shampoos and hair products. But I never enjoyed having makeup slapped on my face and posing in front of a camera. One day, I was determined to tell my parents that I was done. But then Dad got off the phone with my agent, saying that there was an audition for the role of the Little Mermaid.
Mom, Dad, I'm just done with all this. Please just let me live the life I want, not the one you want.
With that, I stormed off to my room. And no, I didn't go to that audition. Months later, Dad said I got an acting job offer in LA. I knew there was no use protesting, but I thought to myself that the States is the land of freedom, and the moment I would arrive there, I would be more free. And just like that, we'd flown across the world and settled in LA. It was really different from anything back home, but all I was thinking about was school. I wanted to do well so I could study law in college. As I walked down the hallway on my first day of school, suddenly someone came rushing straight at me on skateboard. The only thing I could register was the most beautiful pair of blue eyes before we both rolled onto the floor. For a minute, we gazed into each other's eyes as my heart beat furiously. Someone slammed a locker door somewhere, and we both snapped into reality. He jumped to his feet and I held out my hand.
Oh, sorry,
He smiled and took my hand to help me up.
Yeah, I'm sorry too for not pushing you harder, ketchup head.
And with that, he let go and I fell back on my butt. He just smirked and skated away. I stared at him in disbelief.
What an A-class jerk.
I really hoped I wouldn't have anything more to do with him, but to my horror, it turned out that he was in my class. I just knew he was going to make my life miserable. The teacher asked me to introduce myself and I stepped in front of the class.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nicoleta, and I'm from...
Before I could even finish, the boy burst out laughing.
What planet are you from? Do all the aliens there have hair like Elmo's fur? And does everyone talk like they're stupid?
Jack, that's no way to talk to a girl.
That's no way to talk to anyone. I've never met anyone as what do you call it?
Handsome, breathtaking, dreamy?
As rude? As rude as you. And don't make fun of my accent. I'm proud of where I come from.
Wow, now your face is as red as your hair. Do all ketchup heads get this angry?
Only if they meet stupid people like you.
Someone from the back called out.
Geez, get a room, guys.
What room? I'm new here. Can someone guide me?
Oh yeah, I will.
Everyone started laughing as he got up. I didn't really understand what was so funny, but the teacher was banging on the table to make everyone quiet.
Jack, that's enough. You'll be staying back for detention today.
Tell me something new.
The teacher glared at him, but decided to ignore him for the rest of the lesson. Later at lunch, I found out from all the girls that Jack was the bratty son of some rich businessman, and he was just always getting into trouble.
But even the principal doesn't really say anything because his parents are big donors. I'd be a bit worried if I was you. You seem to be his next target.
I'm not scared of some stupid jerk boy.
Just then, Jack walked over to my table with a blonde girl and said,
Here, a new friend. She speaks like a robot, but not like a ketchup head. Maybe more like a mustard head. Listen, I have to be honest here. You guys do have a beautiful accent. See? I can be nice. How about a kiss?
I felt my temper flaring up again and rose from the bench to punch his face. But before I could attack him, he turned around to leave, and I decided to let it go. The next day, I walked into the classroom for the chemistry lesson to find no one was there. It turned out that it had been shifted to the lab, and I was 15 minutes late by the time I finally found it.
Ah, Nicoleta, you must be the new student. We're doing the experiment in pairs, and the only person left is Jack.
I couldn't believe I was stuck with him. Things were going smoothly enough for a while, and when Jack handed me a beaker, our fingers touched for a second, and I could swear I felt sparks. I sneaked a glance at him to see that he was also looking at me.
Is there something you want to say?
Suddenly he came a little closer and my stomach did a few backflips. Was he going to kiss me?
I was just wondering, why do you breathe like a dragon? I can hear your nose whistling.
Ugh. Well, I can hear your face talking. So I guess we are even.
And with that, I stormed off to the teacher with my lab results. I was just done experimenting with this boy. For the next 2 years of high school, he kept being a jerk to me. He would call me names all the time or pull stupid pranks. I knew he was just trying to get a reaction out of me. And the best way to deal with bullies like him was to pretend he didn't exist. One day, when I was in the library, holding my head over a really puzzling math question, someone suddenly pulled my notebook away.
What are you crying over? Tomato Queen? Your sappy diary. Dear diary, Jack is so mean to me.
Give me back my notebook. I don't have time for your nonsense.
Seems like you're as stupid as you look. You've done the question all wrong.
Oh, yeah? And you're going to tell me how to do it right?
Since you're practically begging me for help, sure. I can't say no to a damsel in distress.
And with that, he just sat down and started scribbling away furiously in my notebook. A minute later, he threw the pen down.
And that's how it's done.
Give me that. Wait, what? That's actually the right answer.
I stared at his smug face in complete shock.
How come you're always getting such bad grades? Why do you let everyone think you're dumb?
That's none of your business.
But Jack, wouldn't your parents be really proud to know you're so smart?
Suddenly, Jack got up from his chair, looking furious.
What do you know about my parents? Nothing. They wouldn't care if I was as smart as Einstein. They're too busy fighting with each other to have any time for me. So just stay out of it. And I don't think you know anything about me.
And with that outburst, he stormed off. For the first time, I felt a bit sorry for him. A few days later, the teacher gave back the last math assignments of the term, and she slapped Jax on his desk.
Jack, you're going to have to repeat the school year. Now, I want to give you one last chance. I'll give you another assignment, and if you do well, I'll give you a passing grade.
Thanks, but no thanks. See you again next year.
I tried to stop myself, but I just couldn't.
Jack, you know you can do it. I can help with it. But I don't think you even need any help. Miss, he's practically a genius. He really doesn't deserve to fail this grade.
Everyone was staring at us now, and Jack looked livid.
No, I'm not. Who do you think you are, Ketchup Head? My guardian angel?
I just don't want you to be left behind, dude.
Why do you care? I don't want a second chance. Stop acting like Mother Teresa.
And with that, he stormed out of the room. What a stubborn idiot. When I went home that day, I had some shocking news waiting for me. Dad was really unwell and was given time off work. And to make matters worse, I found out that he'd gotten sick because our immigration status had been under threat for a few months, and he'd been trying to deal with it. If we lost the case, we'd have to go back to Romania. I felt devastated. I skipped the next few days of school to help Mom take care of Dad. But when I finally returned, I was taking some stuff out of my locker when I heard Jack behind me.
Oh no, you're back. My eyes were feeling so much better because they weren't hurting every day looking at your hair.
I started walking away, but he kept following me.
Come on, what's the big secret? Where were you? Growing tomatoes? Making ketchup?
If you must know, Dad has been working too hard lately, and he fell sick, so I was taking care of him.
Oh, I feel so sorry for your dad. Sorry that he has such a dumb, ugly daughter, and he brought her all the way from Romania and worked so hard just so she can have a good life. You made him sick, Ketchup Head. You make me sick too, actually.
He'd really stepped on a nerve and I snapped. I turned around and gave him a hard slap.
You're just a spoiled, ungrateful brat who's been given everything in this world, and you just want to waste it and make others miserable. To think I ever felt sorry for you, I hate you. And don't worry, soon enough, you won't ever see me again.
I stormed off, and this time he didn't follow me. A few days later, we went to court to fight our immigration case, but to our dismay, the judge ruled against us. Just then, a well-dressed man came running into the courtroom.
Your Honor, I'd like to submit an appeal in this family's case. They deserve to stay here.
We just stared at the stranger and he started firing some legal mumbo-jumbo and handed papers to the judge. And to our shock, the judge actually changed his decision and we won the case. We didn't have to leave. As we hugged each other, we turned to the man and thanked him over and over again.
But sir, if I may ask, who are you?
I'm your friend Jack's private family lawyer. The boy has been after me non-stop for the past few days to look into your family's case.
Oh my God, Jack! Did he really do that? I headed straight for school. After that, I looked everywhere and finally found him sitting alone on the bleachers. He looked stunned to see me as I sat down beside him.
Jack, why did you do that?
I don't know. Maybe because you tried to help me even though I've been nothing but a complete jerk to you. And maybe because I've had a crush on you from the start.
My face broke into a huge grin.
I always knew it! You like Ketchup Head!
With that, I pulled him in for a long, steamy kiss.
Hi friends, my name is Anna, and I'm from LA. Before I tell you my story, please like and subscribe. I used to live in a tiny apartment with my dad, but he wanted to give me everything in the world.
Sweetheart, I promise you I'll give you the world. You'll have everything that I didn't have in my childhood. I will make you so happy.
But Daddy, I am so happy. See, Dad fulfilled his promise and worked hard. He became one of the most successful businessmen in the country, and I couldn't be prouder. Dad loved spoiling me. He'd get me all the latest gadgets, collectible Barbies, and I even had a theme park inside our mansion. I had everything and lived the life of a princess. But there was just one thing missing. My mom. Ever since I was a little girl, I was so curious about my mom, and whenever I'd ask him about her, he'd tell me how it was her loss that she left us. On my 5th birthday, Dad threw us the most lavish party ever. He went totally overboard and had ponies and even hot air balloons. I was having a wonderful time with my friends, but when I was in the jumping castle, a kid was being super pesky and kept bumping into others. When he pushed me, I pushed him back, and he ended up falling out of the jumping castle in an instant. His mom came running and hugged him so tight.
Oh my God, my dear, are you hurt?
She then glared at me and said,
If your mom hadn't left you, maybe she could have taught you some manners.
I felt so crushed. Even though it was that kid's fault, and he wasn't hurt bad, his mom was so worried she lovingly swept him into her arms and left. It was at that moment I realized that leaving me was not my mom's loss, but mine. And then I ended up throwing the worst tantrum ever. When Dad brought my giant cake out, I kicked the table. I don't want this. I want my mommy. Daddy, give me my mommy. Everyone was stunned to see me acting out, and then the party was over. Later, when Dad came to tuck me into bed, he gave me a gift.
I wanted to give you this when you were older, but I know you need it now.
It was a locket with a picture of my mom. It was the first time I was seeing her picture, and it made me so happy. Every night, I kissed her picture and vowed to find her someday. Mommy, one day when I grow up, I promise I'll find you, and I'll be so good you'll love me. One time I was at school, and we were going for swimming lessons. The teacher asked everyone to remove any watches and jewelry we were wearing, but I just couldn't remove Mom's locket. Teacher, can I keep my locket on, please?
Why?
It's the only thing I have of my mom. I never take it off. Hearing this, the teacher squeezed me into a hug, and all the kids looked at me with such sad eyes.
Oh, I am so sorry, Anna. I didn't know. My heart aches for you. Sweetie, you can keep wearing that locket.
After that day, everyone seemed kind of extra nice to me in class. They'd offer me the best seat during lunch. Everyone wanted to sit with me and would even share their lunch with me.
Anna, try this. My mom made it especially for you. When I told her about your mom, she so wanted to cook this for you.
Okay, thanks a lot. Even in class, the teachers were extra sweet to me. One time, we were having a test, and I just coughed, and my teacher went all emotional on me saying that I didn't need to take the test.
Okay, that was awesome because I wasn't prepared.
With a smile, I left the class, but during lunchtime, Bella came over to me. She was like the meanest girl in our school.
Anna, don't you get sick of your sob story every time? It's, I don't have a mommy. Always taking sympathy from teachers and other kids. You're such a drama queen. No wonder your mommy ran away from you.
God, her words made my blood boil, but it also hurt me so much I felt I would start crying. But just then, someone spoke. It was Isaac, the scholarship student at her school.
Come on, Bella, you have your entire life to be a jerk. Why not take off today? Leave her alone.
Bella just rolled her eyes and checked her nails.
You know, Isaac, you and Anna, you're both pretty much alike. She uses her mommy story, and you use your oh I'm so poor story so people will have pity on you. So pathetic. That did it.
I never wanted anyone's sympathy or pity. Without even thinking twice, I grabbed Bella's hair, and then she did too. We both were fighting like crazy. Later, we were taken to the principal's office. I was expecting to get detention, but she only punished Bella, and that really pissed me off. Why didn't I get punishment? I also pulled her hair.
Anna, we know you're a good student. Bella has had many complaints against her. It's time she faces the consequences of her actions. I am going to expel her.
Whoa! I knew the principal was taking pity on me. I stormed out of the office, but was totally surprised to see how many kids gathered outside looking at me with gooey eyes. Is everything all right? Why are you guys looking at me so weirdly?
Weirdly? Anna, it's pure adoration. You saved us. You're like the first girl to show Bella her place. It was so cool.
The look on her face felt like a cherry on top of a cake. Okay, I sure wasn't expecting this. After that day, Isaac would follow me around everywhere. Not just Isaac, but so many other kids too. They treated me like some sort of leader, and I was in no way a leader. All the time I would be getting praises and compliments, and it was kind of getting on my nerves.
Oh, Anna, your skin. It's so beautiful.
Anna, can you teach me how you solve that math equation? I know you study smart instead of studying hard. I don't want to be like you.
Since I liked music, there was one time in art class, I was just humming a song when all of a sudden Isaac put me in the spotlight.
Oh my god, that was the sweetest voice I have ever heard. Come on, guys, let's hear it from Anna.
No, zip it, Isaac. But then everyone started chanting my name like I was some pop star. Even the teachers mustering all my courage. I sang, and everyone clapped so loud for me. Okay, that was weird because I was just a normal singer, nothing extraordinary, but everyone treated me as if I was something special. As if things couldn't get any weirder, my classmates chose me as the class president. The surprising thing was that I never participated. I didn't have any clue how to be a class president, but Isaac was there for me. Turned out he was a really nice guy and helped me every step of the way. Isaac and I became best friends. The guy was totally my support system, always there for me. When we were in high school, Isaac started working in a cafe as a barista, and I loved hanging out there. One time when I was at the cafe, Isaac made his signature coffee for me. But just then, I saw someone enter the cafe, and I dropped the cup. It was Mom. I could recognize her face in a million faces. She had 2 kids with her, and the moment Isaac saw her, he greeted her and called her Emily. I felt like my whole world was standing still. I came out of my stupor when I saw one of her kids run out of the shop, and that's when I bolted. Hey, stop, get back in here.
No.
The kid just stuck out his tongue at me and was about to run onto the road, but thank God I lunged forward. I grabbed his shirt and pulled him back, and right then a truck passed by. That was close, really close. Right then Mom came out and thanked me.
Oh my God, thank you so much. You saved my baby. You're an angel.
No problem. I just turned to leave, but Mom grabbed my shoulder. I thought she'd recognize me, but it was something else.
So you work here? You seem like someone who can handle kids. Can you babysit my boys? I'll give you a letter of recommendation once you're done. I'll pay you well too.
Oh my God, how could I say no to that? I instantly agreed. I started working at Mom's place, and it had been 3 days, and I totally loved it. She lived in a big mansion, but that was nothing compared to where Dad and I lived. I was pretty amazed to see Mom's life. She loved makeup and posted her videos on Instagram, and her husband seemed like a nice guy who really loved her. Every night before leaving, I would see Mom tucking the twins into bed. She would snuggle them and shower them with kisses. It was adorable, but it always made me feel a tad bit jealous. In a few weeks, the twins and I started to get along just fine, and Mom was so happy, telling me how they never liked babysitters, but had started to love me. Why wouldn't they? I was their big sister. There was one time Mom had to go out, and when she returned, I was totally drained, and she felt bad for me.
Oh, honey, I am so sorry I got late today. I'll pay you extra today. And what have the twins done to your hair? Come on, I'll give you a makeover. Have you looking like a supermodel?
Makeover? Wow, I would love that. Mom then put on some light makeup and did my hair just like she did hers. But once she was done, she looked at me so shocked I wondered why. And looking at my reflection in the mirror, I knew the answer. I looked just like her. I wish you would notice how much we were alike. Notice me?
Wow, you are a very pretty girl.
Just like you. I mean, of course, you did my makeup and hairstyle like yours, so that's why I look so pretty.
Perhaps. But girl, you are a natural beauty.
After that day, I felt like Mom's eyes were constantly on me. Every time I'd be doing something with the twins, I would catch her staring at me, and then she'd look away. I knew something was on her mind, but she never said anything. There was one time when Mom was making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for the twins and offered me one too. PB&J makes me puke. No way!
Really? Same. I hate them too. I didn't realize we're so much alike.
Yeah, perhaps. Mom looked at me for a few seconds and then blurted,
Anna, what's your father's name?
My heart started to beat so fast. Finally, she had realized who I was. But just as I opened my mouth, Mom's husband stepped in and kissed her, and I decided to talk to her later. But later that night, I heard noises from Mom's room. I was so worried and went upstairs, but what I heard broke my heart. Mom and her husband were arguing about Mom's first daughter.
You're telling me this now after all these years? You deceived me.
I was so young when I had her, but now things are different. I know I made a mistake.
Yes, a mistake. Mistakes are meant to be forgotten. Just forget her and focus on the now. Your family, your husband, and your boys.
That moment, I realized what I was doing. Mom was happy. She had the perfect life, the perfect family, the perfect husband, and I was ruining it all for my own selfish reasons. I just ran out of the house, and thank God Isaac was waiting for me outside. I instantly hugged him and told him everything. I just want to leave her alone. I can't do this. I can't shatter her perfect life.
But she's your mom too. It's your right to confront her.
Forget about it. Let's go home. That day when I went home, I gave Dad a tight hug. He truly was my world. I decided to get out of Mom's life and let her be, so I started to avoid her calls. She texted me and wanted me to come to her house, but I refused and messaged her saying I had a new job. But a week later, something strange happened. I was in my room when I heard Mom's voice. She was calling my name, and I came running down the stairs and was so shocked to see her. Dad and I both stood stunned, and then Mom came running and swept me into her arms.
Oh my God, I knew it. It's really you, my daughter, my Anna. That day I wanted to talk to you, but you left. Anna, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry for my mistakes. Why did you leave without talking to me?
Because I am a mistake. Mistakes are meant to be forgotten.
Oh, darling, please forgive me. I was a fool for thinking so. You are my strength. You are the person who made me a mother. It was foolish of me to abandon you, but I promise, even if I had to fight against the world, I'll never leave your side. I love you so much.
I love you too, Mom. I love you so much. Hey, I'm Luna. Please like and subscribe. I'm about to share a story about the challenges life has thrown at me. My parents, especially my dad, weren't what some would call expressive and loving. They constantly fought and seemed to spend more time hating each other than anything else. Dad always had the TV blaring. The noise kept me up at night, so I often resorted to sleeping with headphones on. I knew he wasn't a bad person. He just had some annoying habits, and seemed to enjoy annoying Mom. Mom was kind. She did her best to be the best mom. She'd surprise me with toys and candies. My favorite place was our treehouse, which Mom built for me. It was my escape. I loved spending time there with my bestie Lily.
Luna, everything will be okay. My mom got me 2 dolls, and I want to give you one. Let's grab some ice cream.
Lily was my best friend since kindergarten. She always knew how to cheer me up, sharing her toys with me. We were inseparable, so much so that some people at school mistook us for twins. Plus, Lily had an amazing voice. Sometimes she sang to me until I fell asleep in the treehouse. Lily's family seemed perfect. Her mom was a successful fashion designer, and her dad was a police officer. Sometimes I found myself wishing I was part of her family, but I'd immediately feel guilty knowing my mom loved me. When I was 16, my gymnastics coach said I should compete in another state. Excited, I asked my parents for money to go. Dad, busy with his motorbike, brushed me off.
Wish I could, honey, but I gotta paint the bike. It's my pride and joy.
I could tell Mom wanted to help by the way she looked at me, giving me the "I wish I could help you, dear" look. That day, I made up my mind to do something. I grabbed my dad's motorbike keys, thinking I could ride to the competition myself. But since I didn't really know how to drive, I ended up crashing into a fire hydrant. Dad was furious about his damaged bike. But before he could say anything, Mom intervened.
Don't you dare yell at her!
Mom then hugged me and handed me some money.
Here, take this money. I've been saving it for quite a while now. I love you, baby.
I hugged Mom tightly. I participated in the gymnastics competition and took second place. On the way back, my coach had some really bad news.
Your mom got into an accident while buying ingredients for your favorite apple pie. She's in the hospital now, in a coma.
I couldn't say a word. I just stayed quiet all the way home. When I got back, Dad hugged me and told me not to worry, saying Mom would be okay. Later at dinner, I asked Dad something tough. Dad, can I stay with Lily's family for a bit? It's not that I don't like being with you, but I feel happier there. They really care about me.
Sure, if that makes you happy. I'll talk to Lily's parents.
And Lily's family was really welcoming. Lily's mom used to say,
"We're glad to have you, dear. You're like my second daughter from now on."
That's how I ended up living with my best friend's family. They even gave me my own room. Lily's parents were wonderful. They looked after me and made me feel like I was their daughter, even though her dad wasn't always. I loved them with all my heart and thought of them as family. Lily and I even got closer. We'd spend all night talking or playing video games. I still saw my dad from time to time, and he seemed to be improving, becoming nicer.
I'll keep getting better until you say you want to come back and live with me.
Well, that might take some time, but yeah, keep your hopes up. One day, as I was walking around the house, I found a room full of beautiful clothes. Curious, I started trying them on. Lily's mom walked in on me.
You look beautiful. I've always hoped to share my wardrobe with a daughter.
Just then, Lily walked in, and her mom invited her to join.
Lily, darling, come try on some clothes too.
I don't want to.
Soon, I got really close to Lily's mom. We hung out a lot, and I even helped her out at photo shoots, sometimes modeling for her. One day, I was shocked to see my picture on the cover of a big magazine.
I wish Lily liked fashion like you do. Thank you for always being here for me.
I smiled and thanked her for making me feel like part of her family. But something was off with Lily. She started keeping to herself, staying in her room, and didn't want to hang out or do anything with me. When I tried talking to her, she just said,
"I want to be left alone."
I was really worried about Lily's sudden change and couldn't figure out what I did wrong. I kept trying to fix things, even apologizing, but nothing worked. She sometimes even yelled at me. I had to give her space, even though it hurt a lot. One evening at dinner, Lily's mom shared some exciting news.
Luna, your teacher called. Your college aptitude test scores were amazing. I'm so proud of you.
Turning to Lily, her mom asked,
"And how did yours go, honey?"
Oh, I didn't bother with it. I'm going to be a singer, so I don't need it. Maybe one of your famous friends could help produce my album.
I won't do that. I want more for you. You're going to college, and later you can decide what you want.
What? You can't make those decisions for me. I'm going to be a singer, and that's that.
As your mom, yes, I can guide you.
You can't tell me anything.
Lily, stop. Your mom's just trying to help.
You shut up. My life was better before you showed up. Go back to your miserable family and leave us alone. I hate you both.
Angry, Lily knocked all the family pictures off the shelf. After that, her behavior got worse. She began skipping school and got mad whenever someone tried to talk about what she was doing. Lily's behavior toward me got worse. turning her into what felt like a real-life villain. She constantly tried to make trouble for me, and even though her mom always ended up forgiving me, it just made Lily angrier. For example, Lily switched her unfinished homework with mine, confusing my teacher. Luckily, the teacher sorted it out. Lily made a fake social media account with my name, posting embarrassing stuff. It took a while, but I showed it wasn't me and shut it down. Lily hid a library book I borrowed, causing me to get late fees. Her mom found it later and figured out Lily's trick. Lily messed with my bike's brakes. I felt something was wrong before I rode it and stopped myself from getting hurt. This escalated one afternoon when Lily's mom was away on a business trip and her dad was away at work. Lily decided to do something drastic. She turned the backyard into a makeshift movie theater. I'm not sure showing a movie here is a good idea.
Well, it's better than having you around all the time.
The backyard quickly filled with people, the projector buzzing to life. I stayed inside, trying to avoid the chaos, and was flipping through a magazine when suddenly someone stumbled into my room.
Oops, my bad. I was looking for the kitchen. Hey, is that a magazine about vintage cars? My dad collects them, and I've read a bunch about them. Is that the issue with the 60s muscle cars?
Yes, it is. His name was Brian. We discovered we shared a lot of interests and spent the evening chatting in the kitchen. Just as we were really connecting, the screen outside fell over with a crash. Suddenly, Lily and her mom came in.
Look, Mom, I knew it. Luna set up this whole movie thing just to hang out with her boyfriend.
Boyfriend? That's not true. Why would I organize this party? Lily, you're my only friend here.
Then explain him being in your room. This must be your party.
Enough, Lily. I don't think Luna would do this. But young man, it's time for you to go home. Please.
Lily looked so angry and stormed off. She stopped talking to me and just ignored my existence. I kept talking to Brian. Having him in my life was great. He was nice-looking and well-mannered. His family had money, and he shared his dream of becoming a doctor with me. A few days later, Lily's mom called me into the living room, where I found my dad sitting.
I really care about you and loved having you here, but things with Lily are getting tough. She's feeling left out. Plus, your dad's been talking to us. He's made some changes, wants you back, and misses you a lot.
The past few months have been really tough without you. I love you and want you to come home.
I didn't say much. When I feel a lot, I find it hard to speak. But I managed to say, I'll pack my things. I moved back with Dad. And honestly, things weren't bad. He had really improved, and hanging out with him wasn't bad at all. But I ended up blocking Brian. I didn't have a strong reason to cut him off. I felt like I didn't deserve him and just needed a fresh start. A few months after finishing high school, I couldn't go to college right away. Dad didn't have the money because we had big hospital bills for Mom, so I started working as a pizza delivery person. It was tough, but I never thought about quitting. I worked really hard and finally got into college. I planned to study economics and maybe even start my own business someday. While studying, I took any job I could get. Eventually, I managed to rent a tiny apartment with a view of the city dump. It wasn't much, but it was mine. I could finally study and rest there. Dad even helped me buy a used car for my delivery job. Things were starting to get better. I kept working hard, aiming for success. I often thought about Lily and her parents, and my mom too. I missed them a lot. With exams coming up, I studied all night and worked all day. I felt unstoppable, like nothing could slow me down. But one day, while out on a delivery, I suddenly felt very dizzy, and the next thing I knew, I crashed into a tree. I was rushed to the hospital. Everything hurt, but what pained me the most was my thoughts. Why couldn't things just go right for once? I hugged my pillow and burst into tears. Then a young doctor came in, and I was shocked. Brian, is that really you? He recognized me too.
I always thought I'd run into the girl who broke my heart again.
Feeling embarrassed, I just looked down and stayed quiet as usual. Brian had finished medical school and was now an intern at the hospital. I apologized, and we chatted for a while and swapped phone numbers. Over time, we got closer and started dating. Brian had the kindest heart, and he even helped me with my college fees. One day, I went to the hospital to bring Brian his lunch and decided to visit Mom afterward. I entered her room, and she looked so peaceful, just like an angel. I gently kissed her forehead. Mom, I have to tell you something. I tried to replace you. I was so angry when I felt you gave up on me, so I gave up on you. I was angry at Dad, too. Even though the poor man was struggling without you, I used to be mad at Lily. But as I got older, I understood her, and we made up. I'm friends with her mom now, too. I love them, but no love can match yours. Guess what I found out this morning? I'm pregnant. I'm going to surprise Brian tonight on our date. I think he's going to propose, and I'll say yes. Mom, I'm happy, but my happiness isn't complete without you. Tears overwhelmed me, and I laid my head on her hands. When suddenly, I felt her hands move. Overjoyed, I ran to the doctor like a little kid shouting, "My mommy is awake! My mommy is aware!" Hi, my name is Lucy. And before in a story, please like and subscribe. Do you know the feeling of having an annoying sister in your life who was just there to ruin everything for you? Well, mine is a psycho jealous sister. She used my condition against me, but I got rid of her eventually. You see, I was born to super rich parents who owned more than half the city, and after I was born, they just went crazy with happiness. On my first tooth party, my dad organized a water park party for all the kids, but when Mom brought me outside, I started yelling, and my skin turned super red like blood. Luckily, there was a doctor in the crowd, and he came running to help. I was diagnosed with extreme photosensitivity that would only increase as I aged. Basically, I could never step out in the sun without getting burned. After that, my parents always kept me indoors during the day, and all the windows were covered with black curtains. Once when I was 4, I cried and said, "I want to go to school and have friends."
Oh, honey, you can't. But we'll bring them both to you.
We'll hire private teachers for you and we'll get you a pet.
They got me a really cute hamster, and he was kind of my best friend. All was good until my little sister was born. Her name was Zoe, and she was pure evil. I discovered she was jealous of me once she turned 3. She knew about my condition, but she was still angry that my parents paid more attention to me. On her 3rd birthday, she got me a piece of candy with a candle on it and said,
"Now this candle will burn you."
"No, honey, I'm only allergic to the sun, not candles."
"Oh, so it won't hurt you? Well then, okay."
And with that, she threw the candle on my bed, and the blanket instantly caught fire. I started yelling for my parents, and I almost got hurt getting out of the room. Once when I was 8, Zoe threw a tantrum that she wanted to be homeschooled like me. But, of course, my parents refused. What made things worse was what happened on my 10th birthday when my parents invited everyone to a super fancy restaurant at night. One sophisticated lady saw me and said to Mom,
"Oh, your daughter is very pretty. Like, too pretty. But the other 10, she's not pretty, like, at all."
Oh, yes, the youngest one is just ugly. I wonder if she'll ever get married.
Just then, Zoe stood up and flung juice straight at the women's faces. Then she turned to me.
"You just wait and watch, Lucy. I'm going to make you wish you were the ugliest girl on the planet. You'll be praying to God to make you ugly."
That night, I was sleeping when I heard a noise. I opened my eyes and saw Zoe holding a big poster with a drawing of her. Something like she was pranking someone.
"Do you see this eye? It's yours, babe. But one day it's going to be mine."
I stood up and pushed her away and locked the door behind her. She was a total psycho. Over the coming years, Zoe just wouldn't understand that I got special treatment because of my condition. I tried to reason with her, so I thought maybe throwing a party where we could both invite her friends would help us get closer. What a stupid decision that was. I was 13 back then and invited the only 2 friends I had, Mark and Emily, while Zoe invited half the school. Suddenly, during the party, Zoe stood in front of everyone holding up a drawing I'd made. It was the 3 of us, me, Mark, and Emily.
Listen here, everyone. So our Princess Lucy can draw. But she also has a little secret. Let me read it for you. "I'm so in love with Mark, but I also love Emily. I will soon ask them both out and kiss them both at the same time. I will kidnap Emily if she rejects me. We will be the happiest lovers triangle."
Everyone went silent, and Mark and Emily turned red. I couldn't believe my sister would lie like that. "No, you liar. I didn't write that. You just came up with it. Why are you so evil?"
"Why? Are you so perfect?"
"I'm not Zoe. I wish I was normal. Just like
you. Oh, like me? You wish I would never have a boyfriend and a girlfriend at the same time? That's just shameless. You do that to the only 2 people who like you? That's just dumb and gross."
"Just stop it." Just then, Mike took Emily's hand and left. I was so shocked and embarrassed that I didn't even stop them. I just went to my room and locked the door, and the party continued like nothing had happened. After that day, I knew I had to teach Zoe a lesson, and I knew that the best way to tease her was to live my life to the fullest. The very next day, I invited Mark over. When he came to my room, I made sure to leave the door open so Zoe could hear everything. Mark, I'm really sorry about last night. You know that my sister is...
Listen, Lucy, I don't believe a word your psycho sister says, but I was just too embarrassed to say, so I left.
I put my finger on his mouth and pulled him closer to kiss him. Will you be my boyfriend, Mark? He said yes, and we hugged. Then I heard Zoe's room door close very hard in her face, which for the next 2 years, Zoe was always making it obvious how jealous she was of me for having a boyfriend. She even tried to break into my room several times. Once she used a knife to open it, but luckily I was ready. I attacked her with pepper spray and ran to my parents. Once, she brought home a boy who was 4 years older than her. Dad totally lost it and kicked him out. My parents were getting so tired of her craziness, but the last straw was when she called the police at midnight once. To my horror, she slipped her t-shirt off her shoulder to show scratches on her skin, and she pointed accusingly at Mark.
That boy, he's dangerous. He attacked me. I barely managed to escape.
What? My parents told the cops that she was making it all up, and Mark would never do such a thing. Gosh, if you're so jealous, just get yourself a boyfriend. You ugly psycho bimbo! I expected her to say something harsh, but instead, she started crying and fell on her knees. She looked up pleadingly at the cops.
See how my family treats me? Just take me away from them. Please help me. Please save me.
What an actress! The next morning, my parents took Zoe to a psychologist. It turned out my sister had some issues and needed therapy every few days, but she didn't take that so well. After a few days, when I got back from my date with Mark, I found Zoe had prepared meat sandwiches for me. What did she want to poison me? I said no and went to my room. I wanted to feed my little hamster, but I didn't find him there. I started looking everywhere. Then it hit me. Oh my God! I ran back to her. Where is my hamster?
I don't know.
What did you do to my hamster?
I don't know.
Mom, Dad, Zoe ate my hamster, and then I passed out. When I woke up, my parents told me that they had talked to Zoe's doctor, and she might be admitted to a psychiatric ward. I wasn't really happy to hear that, but I knew it was for everyone's safety. A month later, Zoe was gone and transferred to that hospital. Life was good, and I had the best time with Mark and Emily for years. It was the day of my graduation. I was so in love with Mark that I wanted to marry him right away, even though we were so young. He agreed, and my parents suggested he move in with us, so we did. During the day, Mark would leave for college, and I would stay home. One day, I called for the maids to get me something to eat, but no one responded. I went downstairs and found no one. Then I heard a familiar voice. I was sure it was the voice of my hamster, but it seemed to be coming from the backyard. I thought I'd just take a quick look, and it wouldn't hurt me, but I just popped my head out the door when suddenly someone pulled me out with all their force.
Hey, miss me, sister?
What are you doing here?
Oh well, they decided to let me go. I feel much better, actually. You really thought your hamster came back to life? Are you still that dumb? You spoiled Daddy's girl.
And then she pulled me out more, and I was under direct sunlight. It started to hurt my skin, and I screamed. Then I attacked her. One of the maids heard us and came running. When Zoe saw her, she let me go and ran away. Thankfully, I wasn't hurt, and my parents told me that Zoe had run away from the asylum, and they were looking for her now. I was sad about how things had turned out in my family, but my sadness was short-lived because I soon found out that I was pregnant. And 9 months later, I gave birth at home to my beautiful daughter, and I named her Sally. When Sally started to crawl, we all knew she was a really curious, naughty baby. Once she crawled out the kitchen door and out into the backyard, and she was completely quiet. I got scared and ran after her with the maids. When I got there, I saw another basket next to her and a freaking baby in it. It was a boy. The note next to him said, "This is Josh, your nephew. I gave birth to him months ago and wanted to raise him but discovered that was hard, so I sent him to you. Lucy, take care of him, I guess." I looked at the baby's face and tears rolled down my cheeks. I kissed his forehead. This Zoe was full of surprises. When I was about to shut the door and run to my parents, someone pushed it against me. It was Zoe.
Oh, you're crying?
And she pulled me into the backyard again. Thankfully, the maids were able to catch her and call the police. Zoe was sent to jail this time, and I got a restraining order. Me and my family were finally safe. And baby Josh? Yeah, he was hers, and he lived with us. I raised him like mine. And snap! Now I have 4 kids, and we are a happy family.
Hi, I'm Layla, and I figured out 2 things very early in life. 1, my older sister Fiona is dumb. And 2, she really hates me. Fiona is a year older than me, but it didn't take me too long to catch up with her. I was talking before she did, and I learned how to read while she was still struggling with the alphabet. My parents loved showing me off, and I think it really bothered Fiona.
Sweetie, why don't you recite the poems you learned for our guests?
Layla, tell your aunt the cool thing that you read in your encyclopedia yesterday.
Just then, Fiona came running, wearing her bathing suit over her clothes.
Look at me! I look like a mermaid in my baby soup!
Your what?
My baby soup, Mom. Baby soup? This, You don't understand anything I say. Oh, just help me take it off. It's stuck in my limbo.
I think she's saying her bathing suit is stuck in her elbow, Mom.
Oh, I see, Layla. You're so bright, silly Fiona.
Did I mention that? I sometimes taught Fiona the wrong words because it was funny when she sounded stupid? Yeah, I'm not very proud of that now. But that's not the only reason she hated me. I was the only one in my family with red hair, and my parents loved it, especially Mom, who would do all sorts of hairstyles.
Layla, your hair looks so magical. Let's try braids today.
You know why it looks magical? Because she's a leopard clown.
You mean a leprechaun? She told me all the time that my parents pretended to like my red hair, so I wouldn't feel bad.
When you were born, Mom and Dad cried tears of ugliness for days. They even tried to give you up for adoption. No one wanted you.
And one time she even tried to chop my hair off. And things got worse when in 8th grade she failed a class and ended up being with me. As if our parents weren't enough, our history teacher, Miss Sheldon, loved comparing her to me in front of everyone.
Your assignment is just appalling, Fiona. Did you see your sisters? Magnifique! Why can't you be more like her? Didn't you do any research? What's there to research? Someone ugly said something dumb to someone boring a long time ago, and then some lame war broke out. Who cares about this stuff? A person who wants to have an educated mind? Who cares what's on the inside when the package is this pretty? Looks are not important. Huh? That's ugly people talk. Did your boyfriend ever say that? Oh, wait. I bet you've never had one. Detention. Now.
The next day before history class, I saw Fiona putting a mug of coffee on Miss Sheldon's table. While everyone else was snickering, I was instantly suspicious. Fiona, what are you up to?
What? I'm just trying to make up for my behavior yesterday.
What did you put in there?
I don't know. Maybe some spit, maybe some laxative, maybe both. Who can say?
Just then, Miss Sheldon walked in, and Fiona handed her the mug sweetly with an apology. But I tried taking it away from her. I really don't think you should have that.
Why?
I just don't think it's a good idea.
Why? Is there something in the coffee? Layla, tell me now.
No, I just don't think you need to drink coffee. It gives you really bad breath. Give that to me, please. I ended up spilling the whole thing on her white coat.
Oh my God, you dumb butt kisser. You ruined my whole plan.
The next thing I knew, I was in detention too, with Fiona for the very first time in my life. But suddenly, Fiona was freaking popular. No one liked Miss Sheldon much, and everyone thought Fiona was super cool for trying to mess with her. And now she was using her newfound power to turn everyone against me. She was the beautiful, fun blonde, and I was the red-haired, nerdy sister being called things like Carrot Top and Ketchup Head. Boy, could girls be mean. Eventually, the teasing got old, or I just learned to ignore it. But soon I was given an assignment in history class to do a presentation on Scotland. The more I studied, the happier I felt. There were so many cool red-headed Scots, and I definitely felt better about my hair. Before class, I went to the bathroom to change into a kilt. I had spent hours making it just for the presentation. But just then, my sister walked in. She pulled out her phone and started taking pictures.
Going back home, leprechaun.
Buzz off, Fiona!
You look so stupid. What is that? A cool girl skirt?
It's a kilt. Get out of my way!
You can't leave yet. Leprechauns can't travel without a rainbow.
With that, She pulled out some paints from her backpack and squirted them all over my outfit. I ran out of the bathroom, crying angry tears. Fiona did get detention, but it was her millionth time, and she didn't give a hoot. The next year, I got a fresh start. Our dad had gotten a new job across the state, which meant I was going to a new high school. I was determined to end the teasing that my red hair gave me. Hey, Mom, now that I'm 16, I think I should get to make some choices about my hair. I'd like to change the color.
But your hair is beautiful, sweetie.
I know you like it, Mom, but I just want to try something a little more mature, you know?
I guess if that's what you want, you're growing up so fast.
Thanks, Mom! I ran straight to the store and bought a box of black hair dye, and it worked. My hair was dark and silky. No more red.
Do you think that'll fool anyone? You can't cover up what you are, little leprechaun.
Whatever, Fiona. Don't you have something stupid to do? Go away!
Just saying. The truth always comes out.
The first day of school was like a dream come true. No one said anything about my hair. I blended right in and even got a few compliments on my cute outfit, which I'd added some accessories to myself. Fiona was right back in with the cheerleaders, but this was the first time she and I were in a co-ed school, and being around boys was making her even dumber.
The football captain and I went out last night, but he never called or texted me back. I don't get it. I think he was even hiding from me in school.
Okay, how did the date go?
It was amazing, like we were meant to be. There was just one awkward moment when this weird girl came to our table and started flirting with him. And I bit her hand really hard. I'm sure she got the message that he's not interested in her. He was just too nice to say it.
You scared him off, you psycho! How about you don't act like a jealous, blood-sucking vampire next time? But she continued her serial dating and getting heartbroken, and I was getting sick of her stories. It's not like she took my advice. Other than that, school was going great. I was doing well in my classes and had even joined the drama club as a costume designer. A play was being held soon, but the main actor fell ill right before the performance. I had to make sure his understudy fit in the costume, but I didn't even recognize him. I ran frantically through the dressing room shouting, "Hey! Is there anyone named Skylar here?"
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, I need you to take off your clothes right now. He grinned, and I blushed as people around us started laughing. I didn't... Okay, wait. Let me start over. You need to try this on right now, and I have to make sure this fits you. I'm the costume person, not a pervert.
I know, I've seen you around, Layla. Right. I'll just change into this and be right back.
This Skylar was freaking cute, and he knew my name. His shirt was missing a button, and my heart was skipping beats as I stitched it on. There! You're all set!
Thanks, Layla. Wish me luck!
Break your legs! A leg? Only one? Single! Just a figure of speech, anyway. Ugh, gosh, I sounded dumber than Fiona. So I was quite surprised when Skylar came and sat next to me at recess the next day. He was funny and sweet, and I was having a great time talking to him.
By the way, I'm part of the student council, and currently we're deciding on a theme for the homecoming dance. Any ideas? I can never think of anything other than sports themes.
If you like sports, maybe you could do the Scottish Highland Games.
Wow, I love Scottish stuff. This is a really good idea. Thanks, Layla.
Just then, Fiona dropped her butt right next to him.
Mind if I join your table? I'm Fiona, Layla's sister.
Don't mind at all.
Also, I couldn't help overhearing your conversation. Homecoming is all about the football games. We should totally do a varsity theme. I'll wear my cheerleading outfit. It'll be so cool.
I was fuming. I couldn't believe she was butting herself into this too. Didn't she have enough guys to date? They just couldn't let me be happy. I spent the rest of lunch just sitting there and listening to them talk about school sports. A couple of weeks passed, and neither Skylar nor Fiona talked to me. But I was busy with my studies and my friends, and I was happy for a change. I wasn't going to be bothered by some guy I barely knew. But then one day, Skylar stopped me in the hall on the way to class.
Hey Layla, wait up. Sorry, I haven't been around much. I've been super busy getting everything ready for homecoming week.
Oh yeah, it's whatever. I've been really busy too.
Well, I hope you're not too busy to maybe go to the dance with me. I mean, if you aren't going with anyone else.
The dance? With you? I'd love to.
Great, I'll meet you there.
I couldn't believe it. No teasing, new friends, and even a date to homecoming? I was practically skipping everywhere the rest of the day until I got home.
Word around school is that Skylar asked you to homecoming?
Yeah, and?
Well, I'm here to tell you that he isn't going with you. He is going with me.
Says who?
Says this.
She held up her phone and showed me the picture she had taken of me in a kilt with my bright red hair. Hey, get rid of that!
Tell him you can't go with him, or I show this picture to the entire school.
No, don't you dare!
It's up to you.
Fine. I didn't want to go to that stupid dance anyway. The next day at school, I told Skylar I wasn't going to go to the dance with him. He tried to change my mind, but there was no way I was going to let him see that picture of me. He looked a bit hurt, and I felt awful, but I didn't have a choice. The night of the dance, I tried to stay home. But the thought of Fiona laughing and having fun with Skylar made me feel like I might explode. I quickly got ready, then sped my car to the dance. I burst through the doors and saw Fiona dancing, surrounded by her friends. But I didn't see Skylar anywhere. Just then, there was a hand on my shoulder.
Layla, I thought you couldn't make it.
Yeah, me too, 'cause I was scared.
Scared of what?
Of you finding out the truth. Fiona was beside us with her phone in her hand. Within a few seconds, everyone's phones were going off, including Skylar's. He pulled it out of his pocket and opened a message. And there was that picture of me. She had sent it to everyone.
Wait, is that you, Layla?
You know what? Yeah, that is me. I dyed my hair black, but it's actually red as a tomato. And if you hate it, then you're all just shallow and stupid.
Hate it? I love it.
What? What?
Layla, you're cool the way you are.
So are you. May I have this dance? You may just give me 1 second, though. Listen, you bimbo. I've kept putting up with you and making excuses for your behavior, but I've had enough. You tried your best to humiliate me, but it was an epic failure, so in your face. Now please get a life and act less desperate, and I'm sure you'll be able to land a boyfriend with the same IQ as you. Just leave me alone, okay? That weekend, I took the dye out of my hair, and Fiona dyed hers red. But it wasn't real, not like mine. I was beautifully red-headed and very happy to be me.
Hi, I'm Layla from Washington, and I have a really personal story to share today. But before I do, please like and subscribe. My mom gave birth to identical twin daughters, me and my sister Elise. So, of course, my parents dressed us in the same clothes and braided our hair with matching ribbons. But people could easily tell us apart for one reason. Elise was born with a minor facial distortion. Her eyes were a little lopsided, and her mouth was almost as low as her chin. I, on the other hand, looked like a freaking porcelain doll. And everywhere we went, people would ooh and ah at me. She's just too lovely to be real.
Wow, look at those brown eyes.
I have the same color eyes.
But everyone ignored Elise, and it really got to her. I kept telling her she was just as pretty as me, but she wouldn't hear a word of it. And as years passed, my sister grew to hate me. Elise did everything she could to make me feel as sad and angry as she felt. She'd spread rumors about me at school, steal my diary, and once she'd tried to shave off my eyebrows. I was living in fear, 24/7. Worst of all, my parents didn't take it that seriously.
I'll take away her electronics for a week.
That's not enough, Dad. Elise is trying to ruin my life. What if she tries to seriously hurt me?
Oh, Layla, that's silly. Elise is just going through a phase and we would never let her harm you.
They didn't understand, and when I turned 14, things really turned upside down. One afternoon, I came home from school to find Elise in the living room with my parents, and they looked furious with me.
How could you do something like that, Layla?
What are you talking about?
Elise said you locked her in the closet for an hour. We heard her calling for us.
What? Just then, I saw Elise, and she was smirking at me.
I just don't think I feel safe around Layla anymore, Mommy. How can I trust her after what she did?
Guys, she's framing me. She locked herself up in the closet.
And why would she do that? That's just twisted, Layla.
Didn't my parents see how crazy Elise was? Not one of them talked to me that night. They all watched Luna Avatar with a bowl of popcorn while I stayed in my room. But the next morning, my parents did the unthinkable. They made me move into the guest house.
It was Elise's idea. You two need space away from each other. We can't have this negativity in the house.
So you're kicking me out? What, because I trapped her in the closet? I told you guys I didn't do it.
It doesn't matter who did it. The point is, You two are toxic for each other right now. And at the moment, Elise needs our attention more than you do. You have more friends and the world at your fingertips. It's just for a short time, Layla.
I was speechless. I was being punished for literally nothing, and it was all Elise's fault. I moved into our guest house that evening and didn't speak to any of my family members. In fact, I continued to ignore them for the next several months. Sure, it was clear Elise was much happier without me in the house. She made more friends and even picked up a few hobbies. But I was still bubbling with anger. One day, I was coming out of the supermarket when I saw a homeless boy outside with dyed turquoise hair. I immediately pulled out a bag of bananas and some change, but he just laughed.
Whoa, do I look like a beggar?
If I'm being honest,
These clothes are just really old.
I still insisted that he keep the bananas, and the two of us ended up having lunch together. I found out the boy's name was Easton, and he lived in an apartment down the block. He was also an absolute sweetheart. I told Easton all about my home situation and Elise's issues with me, and he had a brilliant idea.
Pretend to run away from home, leave at midnight, and leave a note. Turn off the location services on your phone, and you can stay at my place. They'll get so scared they'll beg you to move back in with them. They might even finally punish your jerk sister.
I was sold. My whole family deserved a little scare, so that night, I sent a text to both my parents to tell them my plans and switched my location to private. I spent the next 2 nights at Easton's apartment. His family was really poor, and I had to sleep on a torn cot, but I felt fantastic. My parents were probably going crazy.
Maybe they think you joined a gang.
Or they think I'm pregnant and ran off to get married. Unfortunately, the fun didn't last long. The next morning, my parents burst into Easton's apartment with several cops. They hugged me and cried for a moment, but then they were furious.
Why would you scare us like this? We had no idea what was going on.
Sorry, but you kicked me out for no reason, and then neglected me for 6 months. I needed to teach you a lesson.
Teach us a lesson? Layla, we know the living situation isn't perfect, and we know we haven't been giving you as much attention, but just disappearing like you did. That's crazy behavior. Come with us right this second.
After that, Mom let me move back into the house, but she watched me like a dog. Elise even suggested I shouldn't leave home without her escorting me, and my parents agreed. Luckily, I could still hang out with Easton, who was the only person who seemed to care about me, and it turned out we'd even be going to the same high school next month. On my first day of 9th grade, I was in gym class when Easton started jogging next to me.
Whoa there, you look ready to faint. Here, take some of my water.
Oh God, is it that obvious?
Don't worry, you still look lovely, even though you're drenched in sweat.
Easton smiled at me as I drank from his water, and I felt a little weak in the knees, and not just because I was tired. I saw Elise glare at me as she jogged by, but I didn't care. As months passed, Easton and I just got closer, and whenever Elise was mean, he always defended me.
You can make fun of Layla's dress all you want, but she's the one who got a party invitation, and you didn't.
Secretly, I had the biggest crush on Easton, but I was way too chicken to ever tell him. I was just grateful to have a best friend. It was exhausting living with a bully 24/7. Then, one day, when I came home from school, my parents gave me shocking news. They'd found a plastic surgeon to fix Elise's facial distortion. They couldn't completely get rid of it, but I'd never seen my sister so happy.
I felt so ugly my whole life, Layla. I know it sounds shallow, but I can't wait to be as beautiful as you.
Elise, look at me. You've never been ugly. But if getting this surgery makes you feel more confident, then I support you. Elise started to cry then and hugged me. I stayed with her in the surgery room the entire time, and she even apologized for how she treated me. And I was glad. I was ready to give up our crazy fighting. After Elise's surgery, things changed between us. Elise didn't seem jealous of me anymore, and even started hanging out with me and Easton. Then, one day, I walked into my front yard and almost had a heart attack. Elise was kissing Easton. Hey, does someone want to tell me what's going on here?
Well...
Layla, I've been meaning to tell you. Easton and I like each other, and I asked him out.
I felt like I was gonna throw up. I pulled Elise aside angrily. How could you do this to me? Elise, I love him and you know it.
I know you love him, and I'm sorry. But I've been hanging out with Easton for a couple of weeks, and we have a connection.
How could you do this to me? Elise, I love him and you know it.
Layla, I'm not trying to hurt you. I really like Easton, and I just want to be happy for once.
I can't take this anymore. You made me miserable for 14 years, and then got me kicked out of my own house and convinced Mom to basically ground me for 24/7. This is the last straw. I stormed off and blocked Easton on all social media. He kept calling me to apologize and tell me that him dating Elise wouldn't change our friendship, but I refused to speak to him. The next day at school, I decided it was time for overdue revenge. The first thing I did was attach a bucket of paint to the cafeteria doorway, and when Elise walked in with Easton, pink splashed all over them. Everyone laughed like crazy, and I felt great. I got suspended for a day, but it was worth it, and I didn't stop there. That entire month, I pulled every prank I could think of on them at school, putting spiders in their locker and gluing their butts to the classroom chairs. I felt guilty for being a jerk, but Elise deserved it, didn't she? And Easton was dating my sister, who bullied me my whole life. Then one day, I was studying in the courtyard when Easton walked over to me, and he looked furious.
I've had it with you, Layla. Your jealousy has turned you insane. All the kids at school now are terrified of you.
What do you mean? I've done nothing to anyone, except you and Elise.
Really? Because the bucket of paint from your prank got all over the cafeteria floor, and one kid tripped and sprained his ankle. I'm sorry you're hurt about me dating Elise, but it happened organically. Our feelings for each other had nothing to do with you. I know you're hurt, but don't become a bully because of it.
Easton walked off, and I thought about what he said. Maybe Elise wasn't trying to hurt me, and her falling for Easton was just a coincidence. Maybe I could just be happy for her. So that week, I did everything I could to make things right with people. I volunteered to help as many kids as I could with homework, and they'd know I wasn't a monster. And I apologized to Elise and Easton, and surprisingly, they forgave me. On Friday night, Elise and Easton were celebrating their 1-month anniversary at the beach. So I told Elise I'd deliver them a picnic basket. But when I got there, Elise was sitting alone in the sand, and she was crying. Hey, what's wrong? Where's Easton?
He's not here, Layla. He's not coming.
Did you guys break up?
No, because we never dated. It was all fake. I even paid Easton monthly and used up all my savings. I wanted to make you jealous.
Wait, what? I don't understand.
I thought that after my surgery, people would start treating me differently because my face looked better. I thought I'd finally get as much attention as you. But because my distortion isn't totally fixed, I didn't. And that made me angry. But I can't do this to you anymore. I feel horrible.
I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Elise kept apologizing, but I couldn't even look at her. I didn't want revenge. I just didn't want to deal with her anymore. Things completely changed between us after that. My sister and I both cut contact with Easton and became strangers to each other. It broke my heart, but I didn't know what else to do. We were toxic for each other. Before we knew it, high school ended, and we both went our separate ways. A couple of years later, I was walking around my university campus when I got a phone call.
Layla, it's Easton. I know we haven't spoken in years, but I need your help. My parents lost their house and are homeless. I'm doing everything I can to help them, but I'm desperate. I'm calling everyone I know for either money or food.
My stomach was in knots. I still hated Easton for what he did, but he was obviously in a crisis. So I bought a bunch of food and clothes and arrived at the homeless shelter.
God, you're an angel. I can't thank you enough.
I'm not doing this for you. It's for your parents. And I never want to see you after this. Do you understand?
Yes, what I did to you was unforgivable. Can I just tell you one thing? I never wanted to go through with Elise's fake dating plan. The only reason I agreed to it was because my family's been struggling since I was a kid. I was always terrified we'd end up living on the streets. It's still no excuse, especially because I was in love with you.
My head started spinning. I had no idea Easton had been suffering that much, and I had no idea that he loved me. I decided it was time to smooth things over. That night, I went right home and convinced my parents to give Easton's family a loan, and then I asked if they could invite Elise for dinner.
Oh, sweetie, that's a wonderful idea. She's doing well these days, but she talks about you a lot.
For some reason, I was happy to hear that. When Elise came over, she immediately ran to hug me.
Layla, I'm so glad you're here. Actually, I got you some presents.
Elise handed me a huge gift bag, and to my shock, she bought me all kinds of expensive presents. perfume, jewelry, and even a brand new iPad.
None of this makes up for how I've treated you over the years. But I love you, Layla. And if you ever want to have a relationship, I'm here.
Thanks, Elise. That means a lot. You did really hurt me. But it has been a couple of years. I can't forgive you overnight. But this is a good start.
I also know you got in touch with Easton. If you ever want to date him, you have my blessing. It's a possibility. But
first, I want to make things right with you. Though, of course, Elise invited Easton over later and left us alone on our porch.
I'm really glad you and Elise made up. Do you think you can ever forgive me? Layla, I never really got over you.
Wow, I didn't know that. But it will take me some time to trust you again.
I understand that. I'm willing to wait as long as it takes.
Hello, my name is Moana, and I'm from Hawaii. Please like and subscribe. Growing up, what I hated most was when my parents argued and yelled at each other. And it happened a lot. But there were some moments when we'd all laugh together. Like when I turned 3, Dad came home with the biggest unicorn doll for me, and Mom baked my favorite vanilla cake. It was the happiest day of my life.
Moana, you're the best thing that's ever happened. When you were born, our world changed.
Yes, darling. You mean everything to us.
Mom worked as a secretary at a big insurance company, and Dad worked at a local store. So we lived a pretty average life. But then one day, when I was 4, Mom came home driving her boss's expensive car and told Dad that she was leaving him. Please don't go, Mom. I love you.
Oh, my baby. Tell you what, you will visit me at my new house every weekend.
I watched Mom pack her bags and drive away. And Dad was so sad. He told me that he and Mom were now separated. Months later, he took me to visit her at her new fancy house, and she was sitting with her boss, carrying a new baby.
Moana, I'd like you to meet your baby sister, Luisa.
Luisa was the luckiest little baby because her dad bought her all the toys in the world. I liked going to their mansion, and Mom would be so happy every time I visited. But soon, Luisa started crying so hard for Mom's attention that it became difficult for us to spend any time together. Once, when I was 5 and Luisa was a toddler, Mom took us to the zoo and bought us both candy. But Luisa threw hers into the raccoon cage, and then she started crying hysterically for more. She even started pulling Mom's hair, and I gave her my candy so she'd calm down and give Mom a break.
Oh, Moana, thank you so much. You've always been such an understanding child. I hope your sister grows up to be just like you.
Thanks, Mom. I just want you to be happy. Since Mom had left, Dad always tried to hide his sadness and make me laugh with his jokes and dramatic bedtime stories. And I tried my best to always make him proud and happy, too. Once, in 2nd grade, Dad came to my school for a parent-teacher meeting, and my teacher, Sina, told him all sorts of nice things about me since I was the top student in her class.
Wow, I'm so proud of you, darling.
You should be. Moana is a very special little girl.
Right after the meeting, Dad invited Sina to come with us. For pizza. He looked really happy around her. And soon after, he started seeing her more often. And I didn't mind at all because she was very nice to me. Once, in 4th grade, we went to the skate park together, and Sina showed me how to skateboard.
Okay, I'm not letting go of your hand until you're strong on your feet.
I think I can skateboard on my own. Look! I let go of her grip and jumped up, feeling as if I were flying. And then suddenly my leg twisted and I fell down hard. I felt dizzy, and I saw Sina running towards me as I blacked out. I was rushed to the hospital, and my leg was put through so many scans and then bandaged up. Sina couldn't stop crying.
This is all my fault. I'm so sorry, Moana.
No, please don't blame yourself. I wanted to do that on my own. Dad hugged Sina to make her feel better, and just then, Mom barged in with Luisa.
How could you let this happen?
She started yelling at Dad, and they both got into a big argument, forgetting all about me. Guys, stop! Everyone looked at me, and then Luisa came closer to my bed, looking angry.
I had a big concert today. I was the lead. But now I'm here because Mom was worried about you. You ruined my concert.
Luisa, you can't speak to your sister like that. She just got injured.
Luisa pulled an ugly face at me, and just then, the doctor walked in with some bad news. He told my parents that my leg would never be normal again. I walked with a limp, and at school I couldn't participate in any sports. But I still remained the top student in the class, and everyone was so nice to me, since I'd never had trouble making friends. And I always helped them with their homework. One day when I was in 7th grade, Sina watched how I helped some kids understand a math equation, and she was so impressed.
Moana, you would make a really good teacher one day.
Yes, I would love to be a teacher one day, just like you, Sina. Sina really cared about me, and when I was in 8th grade, Dad told me that he wanted to marry her. I was so happy for them. Dad even invited Mom and her family. This was his way of finally making peace. Just before the event started, I found Louisa standing and glaring at the big wedding cake. What are you doing here alone?
Whatever I want. This cake looks so delicious.
Yes, it is, but don't stand too close. We don't want any accidents. She smirked at me, and then suddenly, she stuck her finger out and scooped the frosting off the cake. Hey, you can't do that. But she just laughed and reached for the cake again. I ran forward to pull her away as she tried to push me off. We both started wrestling and crashed straight into the cake. Just then, Mom and Dad appeared, looking speechless.
What have you girls done?
It wasn't me, Dad. Honest. Mom surprised me when she yelled at Louisa.
I'm so tired of your behavior, Louisa. Your father has spoiled you so much that everywhere you go, you ruin things. Moana was such a good child compared to you.
Well, maybe I should tell Dad to send you back to your poor family.
Both Dad and I were so shocked at the way Louisa spoke to Mom. And after the wedding, when I visited Mom again, I noticed that Louisa was awful to Mom all the time and bossed her around because her dad gave her the power to do so.
Mom, my Prada jacket still has a stain. Get it cleaned right now. I need it for school.
Okay, dear.
Why are you so mean to Mom?
Because she never does anything right. And if she doesn't listen, my dad will kick her out.
She's our mom. Don't you love her?
Well, she loves you more. So I guess I love my dad more.
When I tried to talk to Mom about what was going on in her life, she told me not to worry and said she could handle it. There wasn't much I could do to help her. One day in 10th grade, I was studying in the school library when a boy came out and sat on the table opposite to me. I knew exactly who he was. Maui! He was one of the hot, popular guys at school and was reading one of my all-time favorite books. My eyes kept wandering to him now and then, and I tried not to make it too obvious, but he was just so gorgeous. And while I sat zoned out in my fantasy, he suddenly started waving in my face.
Hey, are you okay?
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't staring. I was actually,
It's okay. I'm used to it. That's why I sometimes come in here to hide away from the girls coming after me. My parents wanted me to be a model because of all the attention I get.
Yes, you're very good looking. Modeling would suit you.
I actually like books and reading. I don't like being in the spotlight.
I was so surprised because I always saw him surrounded by girls. I was never after him because he was way out of my league. But after meeting him in the library, we actually became good friends because we had so much in common. One day, he asked if I'd like to see the latest Disney movie with him. And I was so excited that another kid in school liked that kind of stuff. We even dressed up like the characters and had the time of our lives. I'm so happy to finally have a Moana partner.
Me too! You're such a cool person to hang out with.
He looked deep into my eyes, and then he leaned over and kissed me. I was so shocked because it all felt like a dream. And then I looked down at my leg and started doubting myself and wondering if any of this was real.
Hey, what's wrong?
Maui, you're like the hottest guy on this planet, and there's so many pretty girls without any issues like mine. So why me?
There's nothing wrong with you, Moana. You're perfect.
Maui liked me just as I was, and I learned to love myself with my brokenness. Life at school felt great, until one day, Mom called me with some surprising news.
Honey, Louisa will be joining your school. She got expelled from her fancy private school because she was bullying kids.
But Mom, she won't fit in at my school.
No other school will accept her. Please look out for her and show her around. Maybe she can learn something from you.
The next day, Louisa walked into my school wearing a pink fluffy coat and black shades. Just as she approached me, a group of girls snuck up behind her and spray-painted her coat.
What is wrong with you fools? This is Dolce & Gabbana. Oh my gosh, you ruined it.
The girls went ballistic and lifted her off her feet.
What did you call us?
Put me down.
When I told the girls that she was my sister, they let her go.
What is wrong with the people in your school?
This is not one of your fancy schools, and all the newbies get spray painted. It's tradition.
That's why I hated the idea of a public school. Poor people have no class.
Ugh, she was such a snob. While I was showing Louisa around, we bumped into Maui and he kissed me before running off to class. Louisa looked at me, stunned.
Oh my god, how did the hottest guy in school end up with you?
Why? What's wrong with me?
Everything! You're boring! You dress like a granny and you have a broken leg.
You're just a very ugly person inside and out, Louisa.
I'm going to steal him from you. Watch and see.
I wasn't threatened by my stupid sister. After school, when Maui walked me out to the gate, Louisa ran after us and slipped her number into his pocket. Before I could say anything, Maui spoke up.
Louisa, what's wrong with you? I'm with your sister, and I'm crazy about her. Please, just stay away from me.
I smiled widely as Louisa turned red. And just then, Sina came to pick me up. We had to wait till Mom came for Louisa, and she yelled on the phone at Mom for being late.
Hey, you can't speak to your mom that way!
Mind your own business, lady. You are not my stepmother.
Louisa was just out of control. I decided I was done with her. I completely ignored her for the next day at school. And during recess, she insulted some girls by calling them poor. And they all surrounded her, but I didn't run to her rescue.
Hey, aren't those girls hurting your sister?
Yes, but she can't control her awful mouth. Whatever happens to her, she deserves it.
Yeah, but she's still your sister.
Maui always had a way to make me think twice. So I stepped into the circle of girls and found my sister crying.
Moana, please tell them to bring back my bag.
Not until you promise to change your ways, especially how you speak to Mom.
I promise. Please, please save me from these mean girls.
It's not so nice when it's done to you, right? I told the girls to leave my sister alone, and then she joined me and Maui for lunch. And to my shock, she actually apologized for being a jerk.
I'm really sorry, Mona. I've always been mean to you and Mom because I always felt she loved you more. But today, when those girls were mean to me, I felt what it was like to be the weak one. I've hurt so many people already.
Well, it's never too late to change. Later that day, when my stepmom and Mom came to pick us up, Louisa apologized to both of them too. And then Sina told us some thrilling news. She was pregnant. Oh my God. What? I'm gonna be a big sister again.
That baby's lucky to have you, Moana.
And you, Louisa, will be the best big sisters ever.
Hi, I'm Jasmine from San Francisco. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I was born with cherry lips and big black eyes. My parents said I looked like a child out of a fairy tale. But whenever Mom and Dad talked to me, I never smiled or changed my facial expression. My parents tried everything to make me smile.
Mrs. Rabbit wants to play with you.
Come on, give Mr. Mouse a kiss.
Dad held a mouse puppet close to my face and made kissing noises. But I just stared blankly and slapped the mouse away from me. That's when my parents decided to take me to a doctor. After a few tests, I found out I had a condition called Mobius that meant I couldn't smile, frown, or lift my eyebrows. I was too young to understand what Mobius was, but when I was in preschool, Mom and I were at the mall when we bumped into one of her friends who had a daughter my age. She kept smiling at me, but all I could do was stare at her like a robot. Suddenly, the little girl started to cry.
Mommy, this girl is scaring me.
Oh, sweetie, don't be scared. Our dog ran away yesterday, so Jasmine's just sad.
But Mom, we don't have a dog? Mom pulled me away quickly. That's when I realized she was embarrassed to tell her friend I had a condition because that meant I wasn't normal like everyone else. And at school, none of the kids really wanted to be my friend because they thought I was strange. So I spent most of my time alone. But several months later, my life took a huge turn. Mom gave birth to my twin sisters, Kiara and Helena. My parents worked full-time, so we always had a maid in the house. But even with a maid, I was always the main one to watch my sisters. One day, Helena, the wilder twin, climbed all the way to the top of our backyard fence. Helena, come down right now.
No, I don't wanna. Kiara, come climb up and we can fly like birds do.
No flying! Kiara listened to me, but Helena was about to jump and my heart almost stopped. But then she started laughing like crazy.
Haha, fooled you.
I was furious and told Mom what Helena did. Mom went ballistic.
What is the matter with you, Helena? Why can't you be a good girl like your sisters?
Helena's eyes filled with tears. From that day on, she made everyone's life a living nightmare. She hated me for telling on her. And over time, Helena grew jealous of Kiara. Kiara was what you call gifted and could get straight A without even trying. One time, when the girls were in 4th grade, Mom and Dad threw Kiara a huge party for winning the school's spelling bee.
Our little Einstein, we're so proud of you, Kiara.
Helena stormed out of the room at that moment. And that night, she chopped off all of Kiara's hair while everyone was sleeping. Kiara burst into tears, and I tried to comfort her. Don't worry, it'll grow back. Helena's such a mean bully. I won't let her bully you anymore. Kiara, I'm here. Kiara slept in my room every night after that because she was terrified of Helena. I loved both my sisters, but Helena grew up to be so mean. Then one day in 8th grade, a new boy joined my class. His name was Daniel, and he wore those fat black spectacles. He was really short and really shy. While he was walking to class, this guy bumped into him and his glasses went flying. Daniel started freaking out.
I can't see anything.
I saw Daniel's glasses on the floor and picked them up quickly. Here you go, but it looks like they're broken.
It's okay, it's better than nothing.
Daniel put on his broken glasses. He looked silly, but also kind of cute. He and I ended up hanging out for the rest of the day, and he was super sweet and good to talk to. Over time, Daniel and I became really close, and I even started having feelings for him. But he always just treated me as a friend, and I didn't want to ruin what we had. Life in high school was good till Kiara and Helena joined and things got a little crazy. Whenever Helena saw me with Daniel, she grabbed the chance to make fun of me. One time Daniel and I were in the hallway when we passed Helena putting on lipstick.
Hey Daniel, don't you ever get bored of hanging out with sad face emoji over here?
Of course not. That's not a nice thing to say, Helena.
Yeah, get out of my sight before you regret it.
Okay, but first I need to do this.
Before I knew it, Helena had pinned me against the locker and drew a smile on my face with her lipstick.
You look so much better now.
I pushed Helena to the ground and she fell on her butt. She dragged me down, but Daniel stepped in.
Cut it out, Helena!
Daniel pulled me up and led me to the girls' bathroom. He helped me rinse the lipstick smile off, and I looked at my face in the mirror. Daniel, do you think I'm ugly? You can tell me the truth!
Jasmine, look at me. You're not ugly. I think you're the most beautiful girl I've ever seen.
Daniel leaned in and kissed me, and I felt butterflies. A bunch of girls came in just then and started shrieking.
Ew, what's he doing in the girls' bathroom?
Daniel and I ran out laughing like crazy. I was on cloud 9 all that week. I didn't even mind that our maid was coming less, and I was doing all the chores by myself. But Helena couldn't stop talking about me having a boyfriend.
I just don't get it. How can someone like you have a boyfriend but not me? I'm way prettier than you.
Well, not everything is about looks, Helena. As time passed, Kiara started dating a popular jock at school. Her grades were still perfect, and she got much more popular than Helena. Kiara's life and mine were getting better and better, but Helena didn't have anything going for her. One morning, I woke up to find everybody at home, including my parents, which was rare, and Kiara was super sick. Her face looked super bloated, and she had red bumps all over her arms and legs. My parents left me at home with Helena while they took Kiara to the doctor. Helena was surprisingly well behaved and even stayed in to do homework. I decided it was safe to go out and see Daniel for a bit. But as I reached home, my parents and Kiara had also just returned. Guys, what's going on? Kiara, what did the doctor say was wrong?
I have an autoimmune problem. Apparently, every time I get an allergic reaction, this is what'll happen.
My parents left for work then. Suddenly, Kiara looked at her phone and started to cry.
Oh my god! Just look what Helena posted!
To my horror, Helena had posted a picture of Kiara with her red skin, bumps, and bloated face on Instagram. Underneath, the caption read, "Even pretty girls have ugly secrets." Just then, Helena came trotting down the stairs all dressed up.
Helena, you're a monster! How could you do something like this?
I couldn't help myself. It was just too funny. Kiara looked totally Instagram-worthy.
Before I could answer, Kiara's boyfriend came down the stairs too.
Here, babe, you forgot your jacket.
Babe, what are you doing here?
Helena invited me over while you and your sister were out. Listen, I can't date you anymore, not after seeing your skin.
He and Helena walked out the door before any of us could say anything. How could Helena do something so sick? I stayed with Kiara the whole day and told my parents everything that had happened. They grounded Helena for 2 weeks. And then the strangest thing happened. Kiara became more popular in school, and kids at school started ignoring Helena. Everyone thought Helena was heartless for stealing Kiara's boyfriend. She became a total outcast. Kiara got a new boyfriend, and Daniel became more and more handsome. By the end of 12th grade, he even got contact lenses. The day before my graduation, my parents pulled me aside.
Jasmine, we were thinking maybe you can apply for an online college.
We still really need you to keep an eye on your sister, sweetie.
Are you kidding me? I've been the family nanny my whole life. It's about time you two took over and taught the twins to be responsible. I deserve to focus on my life now. With that, I walked away, and I spent days applying to my dream colleges. But one night, while I was reading, Kiara ran into my room.
Sis, come quick! It's Helena! She's gone!
What do you mean she's gone? I dashed into Helena's room to find my parents holding a note from Helena.
Helena wrote that she's leaving home to live somewhere else. She didn't even write where.
Dad called the police, and they tracked down Helena's phone. It turned out she was staying with our aunt, who Helena was super close with. We were all relieved, but when we went to pick her up, she refused to come home.
I told Aunt, I don't want to stay with you guys anymore, and she's happy to keep me. I'm not going home with you guys. You can't make me.
Mom and Dad spent hours begging her to come home, but they couldn't persuade her, so we left without her. But my parents were sure she'd cool off and return in a couple of weeks. Except she didn't. She stayed with Aunt for a month. Then 1 month turned into 3 months, and then 6. And Helena refused to speak to any of us. And I left for college soon with Daniel. I kept in touch with Kiara, who told me after some time that Helena had moved out of her aunt's place and was now living with some friend. 4 years later, Daniel and I graduated university with honors, and we started a small software company that met success almost immediately. And soon after, Daniel proposed to me, and of course, I said yes. Life was going great. And then one day, I got the most unexpected call.
Jasmine, it's Helena. Can you meet me today? I need your help.
No, hi, hello, how have you been?
Please, I'm in crisis. I'm texting you the address. Meet me there.
Helena hung up before I could even answer. I felt mad at her, but I just couldn't ignore my little sister. I went to the address and found her sitting on a bench outside a small building. Helena had chopped off her lovely hair, and she looked thin. Helena, what's going on with you?
I started a makeup business, and now I'm in debt. I was wondering if you could lend me the money to pay it off. I'll lose it otherwise.
You shut out your whole family for years, and now you call me out of the blue because you want money?
This is not how I wanted to reach out to you, okay? I wanted to make something of myself first, and make you guys proud of me. I was just never as perfect as you or Kiara, and that just made me jealous and stupid, and I'm sorry for everything. I've been trying to be better. I really believe my business can work, but now I'm in a mess as usual, and I could only think of you. You've always taken care of me.
I was surprised at how sincere and different Helena sounded, and it was good to see her trying at something. I wrote her a check and was about to leave when suddenly I turned back and handed her a wedding invite. I'm getting married in a few months. I'd like for you to come, and I'm sure everyone else would be happy to see you too. A couple of months before the wedding, Daniel took me out to a special dinner.
Jasmine, I've been saving up some money and doing research for years. Moebius, your condition can't be cured, but it can be slightly corrected through surgery. And I just found this amazing surgeon. I just want you to know that you're perfect as you are. But if you want the surgery, I have the money for it.
My eyes filled with happy tears. I agreed to get the surgery, and Daniel was by my side the whole time. The doctor couldn't completely fix my issues, but I felt like a whole different person being able to have real facial expressions. On the day of my wedding, my parents and Kiara were with me in the dressing room when suddenly the door opened and Helena walked in. Everyone looked shocked to see her, but I was so happy she came.
Guys, I know we've all had our issues, but can today be the day we all start to make up?
My parents hugged Helena and we all cried. And even Kiara joined in. Then my parents turned to me.
Jasmine, we're so happy for you and so grateful to you. We know we always put too much responsibility on you, and it wasn't fair.
We want you to know that we really appreciate you, love.
and hearing those words from them meant everything. My sisters walked me down the aisle, and I could hear people smiling and whispering that I looked amazing. Daniel beamed at me as he took my hand.
You have the loveliest smile, Jasmine.